Welcome to my channel. Old Coins News a Day videos is one you won't miss. We're diving into the world of coins, so let's get it started. The 1994 P. Kennedy half dollar stands as one of the more modern yet still collectible coins of the late 20th century United States Mint series. Bearing the proud inscriptions United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, Liberty, and In God We Trust. This coin is part of the ongoing tribute to President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, whose life and presidency left an enduring impact on American history and culture. Minted at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the P Mint mark placed just above the date, this coin reflects both the artistry of the U.S. Mint and the nation's continued commemoration of Kennedy's legacy decades after his assassination in 1963. The Kennedy half dollar was first introduced in 1964, only a few months after the tragic assassination of President Kennedy in Dallas, Texas. The American public, deeply mourning his loss, called for a lasting numismatic memorial. Congress acted quickly, and the U.S. Mint moved to replace the Franklin half dollar design with a portrait of Kennedy. Sculptors Gilroy Roberts and Frank Gasparro were tasked with creating the obverse and reverse designs. Roberts, who had previously served as a chief engraver of the U.S. Mint, sculpted Kennedy's profile based on a medal he had already made for the president. Gasparro designed the reverse, adapting the presidential seal, the heraldic eagle clutching arrows, and an olive branch. By the time the coin entered circulation in March 1964, the public demand was overwhelming. People hoarded them as mementos rather than spending them, making the coin scarce in actual circulation. Over the decades, the Kennedy half dollar remained in production, though by the 1990s it had largely disappeared from everyday commerce, used mostly in collector sets or casinos. The 1994 Kennedy half dollar was minted in two main facilities, Philadelphia, P, and Denver, D, with additional proof versions produced at San Francisco, S. The Philadelphia Mint, where the P coin originates, struck 23,718,000 coins that year. This output, though significant, was modest compared to earlier decades, reflecting declining public circulation demand. Most 1994 half dollars were distributed through mint sets or stored in bank vaults, rarely seen in everyday transactions. Each coin was struck on a copper nickel-clad planchet, consisting of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a pure copper core. The total composition gives the coin its distinct silver-gray color, though unlike the early 1964 edition, which was 90% silver, or the special 1965 to 1970 coins, which contained 40% silver, the 1994 P contains no silver. It is a fully clad coin. Specifications. Denomination, half dollar, 50 cents. Year of issue, 1994. Mint Mac P, Philadelphia. Composition, copper nickel clad. Weight, 11.34 grams. Diameter, 30.61 millimeters. Thickness, 2.15 millimeters. Edge, reeded. Designer, Gilroy Roberts, obverse. Frank Gasparro, reverse. Bust-in Silhouette 3. The obverse, Liberty and the portrait of Kennedy. The obverse of the coin bears a right-facing portrait of President John F. Kennedy, a design that has remained essentially unchanged since 1964. The bold inscription Liberty encircles the upper periphery, with the letters widely spaced across the rim to balance the strong, noble profile of the late president. Below the chin, the national motto In God We Trust appears, reflecting both tradition and the enduring faith of the American people. The date 1994 is centered below Kennedy's neck truncation, while above the year lies a small P mint mark, identifying its Philadelphia origin. Robert's sculptural style was both elegant and realistic, emphasizing Kennedy's youthful vigor, chiseled features, and forward gaze. His hair is rendered in detailed, flowing strokes that catch light differently depending on the strike quality. Collectors often look for full hair details, FHD, when grading Kennedy halves, as well-struck examples show sharp definition around the forehead and temple areas. Weakly struck examples, common in some mint batches, can appear flat in these regions. Eagle 4. The reverse, E Pluribus Unum and the heraldic eagle. The reverse side, designed by Frank Gasparro, displays a presidential seal, a heraldic eagle with wings outstretched, clutching a bundle of arrows in its left talon and an olive branch in its right, symbolizing America's preparedness for both war and peace. Above the eagle's head is a ring of 50 stars representing the United States unity, surrounding a halo of radiating lines that form a circular background. Across the eagle's chest lies a striped shield symbolizing national defense, while a scroll above its head bears a Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. This phrase captures the very essence of American federal unity, the creation of one nation from many states and peoples. Around the outer rim, the legend United States of America is engraved above, while the denomination $half rests prominently below. The design symmetry and classical balance make it one of the most striking and enduring reverse motifs in modern American coinage. 5. Historical context: America in 1994. In 1994, the United States was undergoing a period of technological change and economic transformation. The Cold War had ended just a few years earlier, and the country was redefining its global role. Domestically, the Clinton administration was pushing reforms in health care, trade, and social programs, while the Mint continued to modernize its processes. In numismatics, 1994 marked a time of transition between traditional circulation coins and a growing collector market driven by commemorative and proof issues. The 1994 Kennedy $half, though not silver, symbolized continuity in American coinage, an everyday reminder of a president who represented both hope and tragedy. While quarters and dimes saw daily use, the $half had largely become ceremonial, appearing mostly in U.S. Mint uncirculated sets and proof sets sold to collectors. Nonetheless, it retained its symbolic role as one of America's most patriotic coins. Gemstone 6. Varieties, errors, and collectible value. The 1994 Kennedy $half does not have major varieties like double dies or overdates known to the general market, but several minor striking anomalies exist, such as die cracks, planchet laminations, and off-center strikes, which are sought after by error coin enthusiasts. These mint errors can significantly increase collector value, depending on their visibility and severity. In normal condition, circulated examples hold face value, 50 cents, while uncirculated or mint state coins can fetch between $2 and $6, depending on grade and luster. High-grade certified specimens graded MS66 or higher by PCGS or NGC can reach $25 to $60, while superb MS67 examples occasionally trade above $100 due to their scarcity. Proof versions from the San Francisco Mint, struck on specially polished dies, are particularly admired for their deep cameo contrast and mirror-like surfaces. 7. Design, legacy, and symbolism. Every element of the 1994 Kennedy $half carries historical meaning. Kennedy's profile remains a symbol of optimism, progress, and sacrifice. The eagle on the reverse continues to serve as a metaphor for America's strength and unity, while the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "E pluribus unum" remind citizens of the nations. The 1973 Kennedy $half stands as one of the quieter yet deeply symbolic issues within the enduring Kennedy $half series. Though it may not gleam with silver like its early predecessors of 1964 to 1970, the 1973 $half remains a proud continuation of America's tribute to President John Fitzgerald Kennedy, the 35th President of the United States. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and bearing no mint markers which additional before 1980, this coin reflects a pivotal era in U.S. coinage history, when silver had completely vanished from circulating halves, yet the spirit of national remembrance remained strong. The inscriptions "United States of America," "E pluribus unum," "Liberty," and "In God We Trust" are not mere words. They are the distilled ideals of a nation. Together they frame the noble visage of Kennedy and the heraldic strength of the American eagle. Every detail of this coin tells a story of national grief, innovation in coinage, and a continuing fascination of collectors and patriots alike. Classical building #2. Historical context: America and its coinage in 1973. By 1973, America was a nation in transition. The Vietnam War was nearing its final years, the Watergate scandal was beginning to unfold, and the post-1960s cultural revolution was reshaping American identity. Economically, Inflation was rising, and the United States had moved completely away from silver coinage for circulation due to the rising cost of precious metals. This shift profoundly affected the Kennedy half-dollar series. When the Kennedy half was first issued in 1964, the coin contained 90% silver, symbolizing both prestige and enduring value. From 1965 to 1970, the silver content was reduced to 40%, and by 1971, silver was removed altogether from circulating halves, replaced by a copper-nickel clad composition. The 1973 P issue thus represents the third year of the fully clad era, a period of modernization in U.S. minting. The Mint's mission in 1973 was not only to meet the nation's demand for coins, but to produce coins that were durable, cost-effective, and beautiful, coins that reflected America's ideals in metal. The Kennedy half-dollar fulfilled this mission perfectly. Gear history, minting details and composition. The Philadelphia Mint, located in the birthplace of American independence, produced 64,964,000 half-dollars in 1973, an impressive figure reflecting the ongoing symbolic importance of this denomination. However, very few of these coins ever entered general circulation, as a half-dollar had largely fallen out of everyday use. Most coins were stored in mint sets, rolls, or bank vaults. Specifications. Denomination, half-dollar, 50 cents. Year of issue, 1973. Mint, Philadelphia, no mint mark. Designer, Gilroy Roberts, obverse, Frank Gasparo, reverse. Composition, copper-nickel clad, outer layers 75% copper, 25% nickel bonded to pure copper core. Weight, 11.34 grams. Diameter, 30.61 millimeters. Thickness, 2.15 millimeters. Edge, reeded 150 reeds approximately. The clad composition, a copper core sandwich between nickel layers, was designed for durability and a silver-like appearance without precious metal cost. Its electromagnetic signature also worked perfectly with vending in coin-operated machines, which was increasingly important in the 1970s economy. Bust-in Silhouette 4. The obverse, Liberty and the portrait of John F. Kennedy. The obverse design, sculpted by Gilroy Roberts, features a dignified right-facing portrait of President John F. Kennedy, drawn from the inaugural medal created by Roberts before the president's death. The profile captures Kennedy's youthful confidence, characteristic hair, and calm yet determined expression. Above his head, the bold inscription Liberty arches along the rim, with wide, balanced lettering giving the coin visual authority. Just below Kennedy's chin appears a national motto, "In God We Trust," divided into two parts, "In God WE" on the left side of the bust, and "Trust" on the right. This layout provides symmetry, while symbolizing a nation's faith under its leader's enduring memory. Beneath the truncation of the neck, centered at the bottom, appears the date 1973, marking the year of minting. Notably, the 1973 P coin lacks a mint mark. Philadelphia issues before 1980 did not carry one. The artistry of Roberts' portrait is subtle yet profound. The fine strands of Kennedy's hair flow naturally. The contour of his cheek and jawline reflect light differently depending on strike sharpness, and the overall composition radiates calm authority. Collectors often study strike quality, noting whether hairlines and facial features are sharply defined or softly blended. A fully struck coin, with crisp detail above the ear and along the temple, is especially prized. Eagle 5. The reverse, the heraldic eagle and E pluribus unum. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparo, then assistant engraver and later chief engraver of the U.S. Mint, is dominated by the presidential seal of the United States. This majestic emblem features a bold eagle with outstretched wings, clutching a bundle of 13 arrows in its left talon and an olive branch with 13 leaves and 13 olives in its right. The number 13 recurs as a symbolic reminder of the 13 original colonies and the unity they forged. The eagle's chest bears a shield, representing protection of the nation. Above its head floats a scroll inscribed with the Latin motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. This phrase, long associated with American identity, reinforces a unity of diverse states and people into one republic. Encircling the eagle are 50 stars, symbolizing the 50 states of the Union, enclosed within a ring of radiating lines. Around the periphery are the inscriptions United States of America, top, and $50, bottom. The combination of these elements give the coin a formal, heraldic dignity befitting its purpose as both currency and national emblem. Gasparo's design was carefully balanced to ensure legibility and harmony. The eagle appears bold yet elegant, with feathers delicately detailed and the talons firmly gripping their symbolic burdens. The scroll and lettering of E pluribus unum are raised crisply on higher quality strikes, while proof versions exhibit mirror-like brilliance. 6. Economic and minting environment of 1973. By 1973, U.S. coin production had stabilized after the turbulence of the 1960s. The mint had shifted its focus from sheer output to quality control. The nation's economy was facing inflationary pressures, and the price of silver was still too high for any return to silver coinage. As a result, the copper-nickel-clad system, introduced in 1971, was deemed both efficient and cost-effective. However, despite millions of half-dollars being minted, the denomination was seldom used in circulation. Americans found the 50-cent coin cumbersome and unnecessary in daily transactions dominated by quarters, dimes, and paper currency. Consequently, most 1973 half-dollars were never released for public use. They were instead packaged into U.S. Mint uncirculated sets and proof sets, sold directly to collectors. This limited release makes the 1973p half-dollar somewhat unusual. While not rare, it is less commonly seen in circulation than many other modern coins. Finding one in true circulation-worn condition is actually harder than finding an uncirculated example. The 1985p Kennedy half-dollar is more than just a piece of currency. It is a symbol of continuity in American coinage in remembrance of one of the most beloved presidents of the 20th century, John Fitzgerald Kennedy. Minted at the Philadelphia Mint, identified by the P mint mark, this half-dollar carries forward a legacy that began in 1964, an enduring tribute to a young, charismatic leader whose life and presidency inspired an entire generation. Bearing the proud inscriptions United States of America, E pluribus unum, liberty, and in God we trust, the 1985p half-dollar remains an important emblem of American patriotism, unity, and craftsmanship. Although 1985 may seem like a quiet year in coinage, this issue reflects an important period in U.S. mint history, an era of technological modernization, precise production standards, and the growing distinction between circulation and collector coinage. The 1985 Kennedy half-dollar embodies both the progress of the mint and the enduring emotion of the design. Classical building #2. Historical background: America and its coinage in 1985. The year 1985 was a time of renewed optimism in the United States. President Ronald Reagan was beginning his second term, the Cold War was slowly thawing, and the nation's economy was rebounding from the inflation and uncertainty of the 1970s. The American spirit was characterized by innovation, confidence, and a revived sense of national pride, all values echoed in the country's coinage. By this time, the Kennedy half-dollar had been in production for more than 2 decades. Introduced in 1964, just months after Kennedy's tragic assassination, it immediately became a national icon. Millions of Americans saved the first-year coins as keepsakes rather than spending them, and the tradition of hoarding Kennedy halves persisted for decades. By 1985, the half-dollar had effectively disappeared from daily commerce, circulating mainly through mint sets, collector programs, and limited banking releases. The coin's continued production, however, was never in doubt. It was not merely a functional coin but a symbol of remembrance, and the U.S. Mint continued striking it each year as a matter of national respect. Gear #3. Minting and technical details. The Philadelphia Mint struck 15,813,140 half-dollars in 1985, a relatively moderate mintage compared to earlier years. These coins were produced exclusively for circulation and collector mint sets. As no proof coins were struck at Philadelphia, proof versions were minted at San Francisco, bearing the S mint mark. Technical specifications. Denomination: half-dollar, 50 cents. Year of issue: 1985. Mint Mac P, Philadelphia. Designer: Gilroy Roberts, obverse. Frank Gasparro, reverse. Composition: copper-nickel clad, outer layers 75% copper, 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. Weight: 11.34 grams. Diameter: 30.61 millimeters. Thickness: 2.15 millimeters. Edge: reeded. Orientation: coin alignment 180 degrees. This copper-nickel-clad format had been the standard since 1971, replacing the earlier silver-based composition used from 1964 to 1970. The clad construction was designed for durability and mass production efficiency, making the coin resistant to corrosion and wear even after decades of handling. Bust-in Silhouette 4. The obverse, portrait of John F. Kennedy in Liberty. The obverse design, created by Gilroy Roberts, is among the most familiar portraits in modern numismatics. It depicts President John F. Kennedy in right-facing profile, based on a bust adapted from his inaugural medal. Kennedy's profile is clean and noble, capturing both the realism and the idealism of a youthful leader whose life was cut short but whose legacy endures. Across the upper rim arches the word Liberty, divided by the curve of Kennedy's head. The bold, evenly spaced letters represent the strength and unity of the American ideal. Beneath the neck truncation appears the year 1985, and above it, the small P mint mark signifies its Philadelphia origin. The phrase, "In God We Trust," is inscribed in two parts, "In God WE" to the left of the portrait, and "Trust" to the right, balance in visual harmony. The obverse design carries subtle details that make it a masterpiece of mint engraving. The texture of Kennedy's hair, for example, varies between mintages, and sharp strikes display crisp, lifelike strands above the forehead and ear. High-quality examples exhibit mirrored luster on the portrait and deep frosted texture in the fields, a combination that gives the coin exceptional visual appeal when preserved in mint condition. Eagle 5. The reverse, E pluribus unum, and the heraldic eagle. The reverse, designed by Frank Gasparro, features the presidential seal of the United States, one of the most powerful and recognizable emblems in American iconography. At the center is a bold eagle, wings fully outstretched, clutching in its talons an olive branch symbolizing peace and a bundle of arrows symbolizing strength and readiness for defense. The eagle's breast is shielded with vertical and horizontal stripes, symbolizing protection and unity, while a scroll bearing the Latin motto E pluribus unum, out of many, one, floats above the eagle's head. This motto represents the harmony of the many states and peoples that make up one nation. Surrounding the entire design are 50 stars, representing each state, enclosed in a circular border. Along the upper periphery appears United States of America, and along the lower rim, the denomination $50. The artistry of the reverse is strikingly symmetrical, with strong lines and precise engraving that make the design appear almost three-dimensional under proper lighting. In proof versions, the reverse shines like a mirror. In circulation strikes like the 1985P, the fields often display a softer, satin-like finish. 6. The minting process and quality in 1985. By 1985, the U.S. Mint had implemented advanced coinage technologies, including high-speed presses, improved die steel alloys, and more consistent planchet preparation. As a result, the 1985P Kennedy $50 generally exhibits excellent strike quality and metal flow, especially on the obverse. However, Philadelphia coins sometimes display minor contact marks from high-speed counting machines. Each coin was struck with a pressure of approximately 150 tons, ensuring a sharp transfer of detail. The blanks, or planches, were cut from clad sheets, annealed, washed, and polished before striking. After minting, they were ejected, inspected, and counted automatically. Although millions were produced, few ever reached public hands. Most were stored in Federal Reserve vaults or purchased by collectors through mint sets. For this reason, fully circulated examples are relatively uncommon, while mint state MS specimens are plentiful in the collector market. Gemstone 7. Grading, varieties, and value. The 1985P Kennedy $50 does not feature any officially recognized major die varieties, but subtle die differences exist between production batches. Collectors often look for coins with strong head detail, Well-struck obverse. Sharp feather definition on the eagle. Brilliant, undisturbed luster. Absence of bag marks or abrasions. Value guide, approximate. Circulated, 50 cents, face value. Uncirculated MS60, MS63, $2 to $4. Choice uncirculated MS65, $8 to $15. Gem uncirculated MS67, $40 to $90. Superb gem MS68, rare $150 to $300.